And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and Streisand effects because Joey Dallin and I just wanted to piss off the masses more. And we wanted to do it affordably. And Google's cheap. Take that however you want. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage, sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Triple all over the place. You can find me pretty much everywhere online by that name, Shujin. Hi. Let me go ahead and introduce you for everybody that's here, although we're kind of down one, surprisingly enough. Top right-hand corner of North America, where it's all not quite been a rehash of winter, apparently. Dallin, hi.
Good evening. Yeah, today it actually wasn't so bad. Like I was saying yesterday, though, it rained. And, yeah, here I was happy that, things were dried out so that I could walk without worrying about, mud bogging. Yeah, right back where we started.
Yeah, by the way, are you running with that audio thing again tonight?
Oh, is it not working well, or?
I've got some kind of, you know how my audio when I'm on Ubuntu is kind of ticky.
Uh-huh.
I've got that for you tonight. I thought it was just my phone's connection last night. Maybe there's a tune-up that we should talk about after.
Give me 2 minutes. I'll get this fixed.
You do that. Down and to the right a little bit into Ohio, Joey. Good morning.
It probably would help if I stopped muting myself.
Yeah, there it is. Hi. How you doing?
There we go.
I can't promise how long I'll be on tonight, but
it's fair enough. A little bit further off to the right, near the water, where it's some beaches on the coast are being reopened. I don't know why. Unredo Tech, good morning.
Hi, I am not on the beach. I am on the Borg mothership.
No, I'm calling bullshit because
green,
it's a thing. And continuing off past the international date line, I don't remember which one it is. Anyway, out your way, Paris, France. Joseph, good morning.
He's muted.
Joseph, good morning.
Good morning. Sorry.
There you are. It's that damn mute button, man. It's going to get us every time.
I wanted to start with some good dead air time. Perfect. Sorry about that.
I see trees of green.
Dallin's typing too. Was that you, the typing array?
Yes, it was. I'll turn my gain down.
The fact that it's working is the important part. Don't sweat it too much. So, yeah, we're back, everybody. Hi, good to be back with you. Obviously, for those of you that know full well, Bridget is not with us at the moment. I don't know why. I can pretty well assume she could be a little bit, well, she's an old lady, so that it's entirely possible. Hey, to that end, by the way, and I'll get to that in a second. Over on the live chat, which of course, if you're watching live, please feel free to take advantage. Felis, hi, hun. I have choices tonight. I brought out since Fertile Equinox did not happen, and 2 years ago, a year ago, whichever year it was, where we had the big time spender kind of swag kind of thing. This was the perk that they gave to the upper echelon people. So little glass. It's nice. Fortunately, it doesn't have the thing on it that says, "Don't put this in the washing machine, dishwasher." Anyway, so I'm using that. So you all have a choice, and putting this out there to see what happens. Now, the horrible scopes. There's going to be reference to this in a little bit. I told Joey about this. So we have a choice of stuff that I have left over from Fat Tuesday. So I have some Kentucky bourbon, Evan Williams. I got some of this. I have some white rum Bacardi. And I have some gold rum Bacardi. Because for Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras, we did a thing when we got together on Saturday, and one of the things that I was supposed to bring was drink. So one of the things I made were hurricanes, which turned out okay. I mean, not really my thing. I had some, but that was about it. So you guys get to try to figure out which you would like for me to be drinking in a little while, because I'm not really a liquor drinker, full well. So we'll kind of figure from there. So bourbon, Bacardi White, Bacardi Gold. You guys can think about that in a little bit.
I say go white.
Well, hold on to that, and we'll see where it goes. Anyway, since we've got a whole schedule to kind of keep up with, I'll just say it really quickly for all of you people that are listening to the podcast version. You guys doing okay? Yeah, we're kind of in that kind of same position too, And I can kind of open with that because, well, let me do your 5-minute freestyle, which I should really readjust where all of my names are listed on the screen. I'll deal with that later. Oh, good, my name is right there. So your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. Overload. Yeah, I can't even begin to tell you how overloaded I have been for the last couple of weeks, and I know full well everybody else has got to be having the same damn thing, and it's nuts. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. Give you an idea as to just how bad it's been for me this week. Last week, I had a problem trying to figure out what to do for the show. This is kind of a thing because, I'm not really good at trying to plan ahead, but I try. This particular show, I can honestly tell you, I went through at least 5 different ideas for what to talk about and what to have for my opening. And as soon as I got to thinking, you know what, this is a really good idea, we should really do this, I had something else that I had to do. The idea's gone out of my head. Can't even remember what the hell it was now. That's what it's been like for me. And I'm not normally that kind of guy. I'm not usually what people would typically term scatterbrained. At least I'd like to think that I'm not. I don't know how you guys are dealing with stuff. I mean, I can joke for those of you that are listening, well after the fact and have one side of a conversation like it's a Doctor Who episode, but it's tough. It's tough all over. We know it. We're dealing with it same as everybody else. There are too damn many things that are going on. And some of it is, I don't even know how to describe it. I've got politics on the head. I've got the presidential elections months from now that are weighing on me. I've got concepts that people have been throwing around vehemently online about this. And I'm torn in many directions because I'm listening to what's being said, and I understand and I appreciate and I agree with certain parts and disagree with others. I'm watching what's going on with people in my country who can't even sit good ubu. They can't get that much. They don't understand that being in your house right now is the best thing to do. They don't understand that there are certain people who don't have a choice. And we talked about this off the air. Never mind the people who are out there putting food and comestibles and stuff that we need. But you've got other groups that are out there too. Medical workers, vets, people who work on farms, who have livestock that they have to deal with. This stuff doesn't stop, doesn't end. It makes it harder to do in some respects. There are a lot of people who are feeling this in ways that we don't even think about. It's tough. It's one of those times where we kind of have to take a step back, slow down a little bit, just pause. Yeah, I'm intentionally slowing down how I'm talking tonight because that's what we kind of have to get used to. Try to relax. Try to slow down. Try to understand what it is that you're projecting. I hate to put it this way, but we have to be the president that we want to see. And I know I'm stealing somebody else's line, but how true is it? Just like we need to be the calm for our kids, we have to be the calm for our society. As tough as that is. Just don't be a dick. This is episode 307 on the docket, Your Honor. The power of hubris compels you. I'm sick of all the stuff of people not listening to the whole stay indoors and deciding that I need to be at church because how's God going to hear me if I don't go to church? Because that's what they're telling me to do. A couple of weeks ago we had a story of a landlord that went ahead and said, "Oh, you guys want to hold church services? No, I'm changing the locks on you, and you're not getting the keys until all this stuff is blown over. Get the hell out." But we've still got that going on, and it's even worse because these groups are saying, look, you get your stimulus check, or whatever term they've got for it. What's the first thing that you should be doing? Sending in your tithe to the church. Really? But of course, they're going to try to find some way of dealing with all that stuff, so joy rapture. So yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of that. I did go looking information for Rafe Badawi. There is no new information currently. Unfortunately, I did check the news services and the Twitter feed. Right now, there is nothing. As of the recording of tonight's show, it has now been 7 years, 10 months, 3 days since Rafe was unjustly incarcerated for thought crimes. Our hopes and our thoughts are still with you and your family, and we are still waiting, and we're still hoping. We'll see how it plays out. So, with all of the bummed out stuff out of the equation, we'll see how it's going over here. Stephanie is over there. Hi. And yeah, that's kind of the way that it is. So Stephanie, so we're gonna figure out when we get done with the horrible scopes here in just a couple of moments. We have a choice for me for tonight. Kentucky Bourbon, Bacardi White, or Bacardi Gold. Yes, I am going to be having hard liquor for a change. For no other reason other than, well, you know what? Let's do the horrible scopes, and you will figure it out from here. Everybody good?
I'm good.
Mm-hmm. I got it.
Joseph?
I'm here.
Yes. Did you pull it up? Because I'm only seeing 3 people viewing it besides me.
Oh. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I guess we'll.
I'm listening it.
Fair enough. All right. So, for anybody that's looking to get your horrible scopes for this week, congratulations. If you know what your astrological sign is, great. If you don't, make it up as you go along. It doesn't really much matter. Let me go ahead and kick you off. Aries, you are constantly finding things in the last place you look. Why not just skip the middleman and go right there? It'll be far more efficient. Look, we can even help you. You left the remaining booze in the little cabinet over the refrigerator because you thought the kids wouldn't go looking in there because it's too far to reach. Joke's on you. The kitchen is the new jungle gym and you're now out of Jose Cuervo. Time to go buy more, except now where are your car keys? Dallin, you're up.
Just when I'm about to talk, I start to cough. Isn't that just the way?
It's the great God Murphy right there, man.
Uh-huh. His name's Dweezil, and he always comes over for coffee on Saturdays. Anyways, Taurus, you like your coffee straight out of the bag, eaten with a spoon. And we can understand that. But try to use a bowl instead. And fill it with milk. And use a spoon. Look, what we're saying is that your weekend breakfast should be a bowl of chocolate-covered espresso beans eaten like it's cereal. You'll thank us for this once you've recovered from the shakes. And now I want them.
You know, if Kellogg's marketed it, it would sell.
Funny.
They'd have to kill me to keep me from taking it all.
Just wait for it. Joey.
Oh, my turn already?
Yep. I know, without Bridget here, it's kind of hard to remember this stuff sometimes.
What am I on?
Gemini.
Gemini. If someone hands you a towel, keep it with you at all times. If somebody hands you a trowel, odds are you're supposed to help hide a body. But with style. And remember, you're using mortar, not concrete, for this job. The last guy who got it mixed up, well, like we said, your job starts today. And hey, building with mortar dates back 8,000 years, so don't screw this up, because someone in 3547 might discover it and mock you for centuries to come.
Cancer. Taking a warm bath with Epsom kosher or table salt will not simulate the ocean for you and your family. Assuming you have a 302-liter, aka an 80-gallon bathtub, which is a pretty big tub, you would need about 10.6 kilograms or over 23 pounds of salt to simulate the ocean's salinity. That also means the floor under your bathtub needs to support 303 kilograms or 667.2 pounds of water, plus the salt, plus you. Remember, the bathroom scene from The Money Pit? Yeah, keep that in mind.
Joseph, you're up.
Leo, you are not a mad scientist. You are not going to take over the world. You are not going to be adulated by throngs of people. You don't even know how many people are in a throng. Just stop. Get some help. You can't afford a laboratory to work in. Never mind how to create anything in them. You don't even know this. You don't even know how the still on mash works. Just read a chemistry book, people.
I'm so glad you said it that way. I when I wrote it, I was really I thought laboratory, and thank you. That's nice.
Get out of my laboratory.
I'm very glad that who posted that. Who posted?
I did.
Thank you.
You put that in the show notes.
Yes, I did. Virgo, Tech. By the way, I was thinking about you for this one. Virgo, we know math isn't your strong suit, but follow us on this.
Well,
Normal home construction methods typically include 2x4s to support interior walls, spaced 16 inches on center. For the metrically inclined, that's 51 by 101 millimeter studs mounted 406.5 millimeters apart, meaning when you finally decide to punch that wall in complete frustration, you've only got a 1 in 8 chance of hitting the stud and breaking your wrist, which are better odds than playing Russian roulette.
You do realize I'm not a Virgo, and I'm actually mathematically inclined.
Yes, but you
But
also
you're right.
have a bad
I do
habit of
punch walls.
That's exactly right.
Guilty.
So, knowing these odds,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you'll think twice before next time you cock that arm back.
I know where all the studs in the walls are.
I know where mine are. I helped build mine. Sorry,
You guys
going
with
on.
your freaking cheat codes.
Libra. Go for it.
Libra. Normally, we'd give you a job to put in for, but you just found it all on your own, didn't you? You found the car keys that Aries lost. If it weren't for you, they'd never be able to drive to the liquor store to get more Jose Cuervo. Only you've lost your car keys and you have Aries keys. What the hell, you two? Did you go to a 70s partner swap orgy and fail at that?
Apparently so. Joe? Joey?
God damn it.
You hit it
I
again,
sat-
didn't you?
I sat on it.
I was getting ready to poke you with a stick.
Did you know, Scorpio, did you know that in 1934, a product made by General Mills Foods, you know, the company that makes various breakfast cereals? Anyway, one of their products was selling so poorly that it was going to be discontinued. But then an obscure radio comedian by the name of Jack Benny started advertising it, not only to saving the product, but making it making it the ubiquitous name for the type of product. What was it called? Jell-O. So, Scorpio, what have you done that was so great this week, hmm?
That's a true story, by the way.
Sagittarius. There is a star orbiting the black hole at the center of our galaxy that reaches 3% the speed of light as it rounds the backside of it. For the last 30 years, scientists have tracked its orbit to find out its prograding, meaning the path is turning, making the orbital path like a bunch of flower petals instead of a simple oblong path. The only reason we're telling you about this is the black hole's name, Sagittarius A star. So, there you go. Proof that you actually do suck. Joseph. Capricorn.
Joseph.
Joseph.
Oh, me.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I get to read my own sign.
Oh, good.
Capricorn, there's a bunch of online concerts and meetings happening these days you might want to take advantage of. For instance, there's a channel on YouTube called The Shows Must Go On, hosted by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Every Friday, there's a new musical being broadcast. For instance, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Jesus Christ Superstar, and this week it was Phantom of the Opera. We're not saying you should watch them. We're saying that you should totally download the files and get ready to sell them on the black market. Money's tight these days, yo.
It's true. I actually downloaded it. Aquarius, the card game Uno is your friend. You can play it online or watch a bunch of YouTubers do it for you. We're especially enjoying Markiplier, Bob, Wade, and Jacksepticeye playing together, or just Mark, Bob, and Wade with Barbara, the AI. Remember these phrases, and you'll have a great time. Heart of the cards. Let's go round again. Skipped you bitch. And excuse me. Let me do this right. That color was fine. That color was fine. Trust me. If you see the one video on trust me.
You know, if I try to do that one this late at night, I'd probably get a noise complaint.
Yeah, I've only got the little one to worry about. And last,
That's what your plugs are.
And he probably thinks you're crazy anyway. Anyways, yeah.
He'd probably be
Pisces.
laughing his ass off.
She's probably going. Chapter 25. Life at home, the insane asylum.
yeah, he's asleep right now. Anyway, so my fellow fish Pisces.
Yeah, not after that. Anyways, Pisces. You've heard it 1,000 times. You're an old soul.
Mm.
You know what it means, right? Usually people say it because you're sensitive to other people, empathetic, considerate. It's really the same way they exclaim, well, bless their little heart down south. They're trying to gently tell you that from close up, they can see the beginnings of jaundice in your eyes and crow's feet in your skin. But sure, yeah, you're sensitive. Go with that. And bless your oversized heart.
That's exactly right. And that, folks, will give you your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, no backseas, store credit only. Look for the union label and refrigerate after opening. I don't know. I get nothing. Go with that. So, yeah. So what's it going to be? What's it going to be for drink? I've got one recommendation for the white rum.
And Stephanie voted for the Kentucky.
Well, we're going to have to come to a consensus because sure as shit, I ain't mixing. I know better than that.
No, do not mix it with steam rum.
No, if you're gonna mix any of the two, mix the two rums. But even then, you just don't want to do that.
Probably not.
I honestly, I think your liver would treat you better if you went with the golden tonight.
You know what? I'll change my.
But then again, that's
recommendation to Golden as well. He's not
that.
wrong.
That's a personal bias for me because I do love me the amber and spiced rums. Love me the black rums too.
I've got a whole lot of black rum right now, but he's not wrong.
I drank my Kraken already.
Yeah, I had that a couple weeks back. And Stephanie, pick what you want, Shujin. See, here's the problem. This is stuff I don't normally drink, so I don't know. You know what? So far, the recommendations have leaned a little bit more heavily towards the gold. And so long as it doesn't smell or taste like turpentine, I think I'm okay. And considering I got it recently, I don't think that's going to be a problem. So, I'll go ahead and look at the...
Yeah, the only booze I ever had that smelled like something that really shouldn't be imbibed were 2 vodkas that I had once.
I almost forgot.
There's one called Alberta vodka. And another one, I can't remember the name of it, but it was infused with hemp oil.
What?
Yeah,
No, because they could charge.
Well, apparently it had just enough THC that they guaranteed no hangovers in the morning. However,
There's no such thing as no hang.
well, but you know, and then they were saying, oh, it's triple filtered, it's high quality, it's all this wonderful, every marketing buzzword you could think of for alcohol. Okay.
And triple filtered, of course, means it took out all the flavor.
Well, I don't know. There was one vodka I tried that was triple filtered that actually went down pretty smooth. That wasn't these two.
Was it Ultimate?
I couldn't tell you. It was some vanilla vodka that my sister's boyfriend introduced me to.
Ripple.
Again, not something I would take straight normally, but that stuff was actually something you could drink neat, like you would scotch.
Well, if the Polish Ultimate, you can drink that neat, or you can drink it slightly chilled. Either way, it's delicious.
Anyways, but these other 2 vodkas, you unscrew the cap, you wave it under your nose, and you realize somebody at the bottling plant made a mistake. Because the contents of these bottles should have gone into another bottle with a particular label on it. That label?
Safe for human consumption.
Close. Aqua Velva. When your
Really?
vodka smells like your aftershave,
Wow.
You've got a problem.
That's some hard shit.
Or your name is Dean Martin. In any case, it's perfectly fine, I suppose, after a little bit. Okay, so, yeah, this is a little over 2 fingers tall. Something tells me that I may not finish this because even just sipping, yeah,
Is
I
gonna
usually
hurt.
recommend mixing Bacardi with Coke.
I have none.
Yeah.
Do you have Sprite or 7-Up?
I have nothing carbonated in the house. The only thing that was even close to being carbonated in the house was the apple juice because it had started to ferment a little bit. And something tells me
Orange juice?
no. I've still got frozen apple juice.
Do you have hot chocolate? Rum and hot chocolate's delicious.
Oh, now he tells me. I'm half done on my hot chocolate here. Oh wait, I don't have any rum. All I've got is
You know,
Smirnoff rye.
I've got a hot chocolate mix in the kitchen. I'm not gonna get. We're in the middle of a show now, so I'm not going up to get anything.
I'm just saying.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll figure this shit out later. And so yeah, so much for being completely G tonight. That's the way it's going. Oh. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that everybody's heard about these weird ass protests that are going on over here in my country because we're a bunch of dumbasses apparently collectively.
We're not the only country full of them.
No, but I haven't heard about any other countries going out there saying, hey, I want to go ahead and start the economy again. We want to get out, and it's only going to be 2-3% of the population. It's fine. It doesn't matter how many people end up dead from it all. And I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to protest on the steps of my Capitol building to say that the whole thing is for bullshit, while I'm wearing a covering over my face and carrying my my God-given right to have a firearm. God damn it. And wave Confederate flags, apparently. So, whatever. Yeah. And this is up in the north. Like, so far north that, like, it's like the border towns with Canada north.
Texas is being stupid, too, so.
Yeah.
But they're not against the Canadian border.
Texas being stupid. Michigan's being stupid. Florida's being stupid.
Florida's Florida.
Which isn't a big surprise. But,
yeah.
But part of this, where it's, okay, there are two things that this is coming from. One, the lack of an antibody test. Now, there's a reason for this. And the reason I say the antibody test is because not everybody who apparently has the virus is showing the symptoms that will eventually lead to their grisly, gurgling, fluid lung-filled death. These people, the asymptomatics.
Yeah.
So what people are trying to do is to say, okay, look, if you factor in how many people are asymptomatic but not tested compared to the number of deaths, instead of 1% to 2% of the population, it goes down to, 0.2%, which is on par with the flu. This is something I heard, and I just kind of went, okay, 0.2%, but there are mass graves opening up in New York. They had to call in military refrigeration trucks to augment the morgues because of the bodies. Crematoriums in China are being built and immediately put into service to handle the amount of death. Okay, at this point, it's not a question of percentages and ratios. It's the fact that if you show symptoms, there's a good chance that you are going to die.
You, of all people, should better appreciate, why not just get a bunch of these folks, get some, wooden kayaks, put the bodies in them, float them out there on the water, and get a couple of crossbow bolts and light them up. I mean, that would be efficient, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but let me bring it back to two words for you.
Uh-oh.
Which actually have to do with tonight's show. Let me see. Organized religion. Because there is a process, there is a ceremony, there is a ritual.
Which is not happening.
I know, but that a lot of these god hogs have ingrained into our society. Yes, I said God hogs.
No, I don't think that I remember.
Points if anyone gets that reference.
You
I'm
heard no
horrible about that.
objections out of me.
No, I don't get the reference, but no objection from me either.
John Leguizamo. But anyways, um, whether or not you've got separation of church and state, we do have a certain kind of reverence for the body after it's dead.
Yeah, and
So, and we're not quite at the siege of Athens during the Peloponnesian War just yet. We're close, but not quite.
Is that the one where they stacked up the dead and put mud in between them to hold them up like a wall?
No,
I'm thinking of a different.
that was that was after Sparta and Athens made nice. No, this is when the two of them actually hated each other.
Gotcha.
But what that was a breakdown of the social order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because everybody was dying of plague because aqueducts that carried your sewage away was good.
Yeah.
Open air, maybe not so much. But once that was cut off during the siege, well, let's just say things got a little icky.
Yeah.
Anyways, but like I said, we're not there yet, but we're getting close. Now, the second thing, so these manipulation of the numbers to try to justify opening up the economy, that's one thing. But there is another one, and this one's a little more ingrained. Fear. And okay, I see the way you're looking at me, wondering, okay, what are you scared of?
Well, yeah.
This is what I said last week. People in this day and age have never had to face anything like this. The last time we saw something like this was the Spanish flu. And when I say we, I mean not us, because I don't think any of us were alive.
No.
Despite how high some of our odometers are running right now. We as a society, we've gone all of our lives collectively, never having to deal with a depression or even the recession in 2008 was not that bad.
Okay, I'll give you that.
But now,
you know what this is? The way that you were just describing this, the closest thing that we collectively could deal with something like this was when we, as youngsters, would have had chickenpox before the vaccines.
Yeah.
We didn't know what chickenpox did. We thought once we had it and we were over, we were done with. Now we know we get shingles from it too.
Possibly, potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
That there's a high risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the other thing too is that excuse me. Burp coming on. It's a real show now. But the thing is, but what we've got now is we've got what?
Phyllis. Polio. Yeah. Shit. Remember? Yeah. It was the same thing at that point too.
The thing is, I don't.
Well,
we don't. Because
you're right.
We have the mark.
Well, okay.
They do.
Our folks do.
But we, at this point, don't.
Yeah.
We don't have active memory of that.
And that's what I'm saying is that
you got a good point.
We have a generation right now who's of a frame of mind that, we've actually heard people say, why do you feel the need to hunt for meat when you can just go to the grocery store and get it?
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay. Now, yes, maybe it's a meme, or maybe people are just that stupid.
No, it's not stupidity. Holy mother. We're dealing with we're actually dealing with teenager hubris. We are invulnerable, we are immortal until we get shown that we're not. That's right. Where collectively we are.
But even though we've been shown that we're not with this thing, a lot of people still refuse to let it sink in.
Agreed.
So and the thing is, so
to think for yourself, how do you tell the difference between the two?
Yeah, but it's not even that. There's more fear going on here as well. Dairy producers or farmers are dumping millions of gallons of milk per day. They're grinding vegetables back into the ground because they can't get it to anybody. And people have said, well, why don't you just get it direct from the farm to the food bank?
They have
Okay.
no packaging systems.
Well, they have no packaging, they have no delivery. And when it comes to milk and other dairy products, they have no processing facilities right now.
They have
And
no
as we all saw
inspection.
with the raw milk thing a couple of years ago,
Oh, that was
well,
fantastic.
exactly. But that's my point. Is that a lot of people, like, food banks are stretched to their limit. I saw a video and pictures earlier today of tens of thousands of cars lined up to get to a food bank. People are waiting in line for hours, not sure if when they get there, there's going to be something waiting for them. Like,
What was this?
some cities are close to food riot levels. There's no way to get a lot of the products to market because the supply chain's broken down. Processing facilities are shutting down because they don't have enough people to staff them because of the stay-at-home order. People are getting scared, very, very much terrified. So and I've said it before, when you're down at that level where you've got nothing left, you're at that level of desperation. I've talked about this before, where this is where The Secret and Deepak Chopra and all those other charlatans come in. It's the same thing. So when people are getting desperate, so they're looking for something. So they look at these numbers and they say, well, okay, so if it's not going to be 2%, but like 0.1%, well, then I'm going to be okay because, I've never won the lottery before, so I'm not that lucky, which is probably a bad thing to say. But again, we're dealing with people who are growing in desperation because we're in continuously uncharted waters. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea how to cope because they never learned how.
Ignorance.
Ignorance,
Well-
but also
No.
a lack of oh Christ.
Hide that dependence. Because, give me convenience or give me death. Nobody knows how to hunt or fish anymore. Everybody's relying on the existing systems.
Exactly. Exactly. But the thing is, and when things are running properly, you don't have to know these things.
You also have a case of everybody can't go fishing because we have an amount of people on this planet that without the factory farming and systems in place, there will be eventually starvation.
Yeah. So a lot of people are getting desperate to the point where they're saying, you know what? It's like it reminds me of a war movie where someone is just so they finally snap. They're in the trench. They finally snap. They can't take it anymore. They jump out of the trench because they think, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to run for it anyway. They make it 10 feet before they get gunned down. But by that point, their mind is gone. And that is what I think a lot of people are starting to experience, is that I'm hungry, I'm desperate, I'm afraid. Someone tells me that the beaches are going to be open. Anything has to be better than the current situation I'm in. They know that there are consequences, but the overriding instinct to be free or to be not in that situation is screaming and overriding
To survive.
Well,
It's basically our survival instinct in this moment you're talking about where we, quote, let go of our mind. No, well, that's exactly what's happening. We're 90% governed by our subconscious, whether we realize it or not.
yeah.
And when we're in quote unquote panic mode, we just forego all intervention by the prefrontal cortex. We're just on automatic.
Yeah. And the thing is, and of course, a lot of the people who are, saying, stay at home, do this, do that, in particular the media, who are telling you this. Well, they got paid to write that article, didn't they? Which means they still have a job, which means they still have access to the resources that a lot of people don't have right now because of their situation. It's not always that, okay, we have to stay home because of the virus. You may have lost your job. You may be running low on that last grocery run and you can't go because, the stimulus check hasn't come in yet, or your EEI hasn't kicked in yet.
Or maybe you don't have the PPE that you are supposed to have, face covering, because, well,
Yeah. And
yours
trust
was all
me,
disposable stuff and it's gone.
and trust me, like, I'm currently unemployed. My first EI check came in finally a week or so ago. My next one should be in the bank in a couple of days. Right now, I'm okay. Freezer's full. Fridge has got lots of stuff. My cupboards are full. You guys aren't going to believe this, but for the first time in my life last week, I tried Ovaltine.
What'd you think?
It's not
I've
bad.
had it.
It's not bad.
No,
But
it's
yeah,
not.
they had these big ass cans for like $11. Like, up here north of the border, we're not quite there yet.
No. And-
Meat prices are going up, but again, I'm good. I've got lots. I'm fine. I'm lucky. A lot of people aren't,
No, you're right.
and there's a lot of mistrust in the media. I'm almost done. Trust me. And I haven't seen the video yet, but I've heard a lot about it. Apparently, Nancy Pelosi gave an interview from home talking about ice cream, standing in front of her multiple fridges that were worth over $12,000 a piece, saying that people should stay home and be grateful in kind of a let them eat cake sort of way. From the wonderful people at crack.com, top 10 things you don't say to the public when you're in that position. In other words,
No, I'm
if
sorry.
don't give me a stay-at-home order. Don't give a stay-at-home order to someone who is hungry, desperate, and afraid when you're sitting there nomming ice cream from a fridge that's worth more than most people make in a year. Framing. Just saying.
No, I got you. Not having seen this particular item, I can't speak to it. I can, however, speak to the whole, well, $1,200 should be a good stopgap for people for the next 10 weeks. Oh.
By the way, a fun fact about that $1,200: the administration made sure that collection agencies can intercept and take that money if somebody is in arrears. If they're in collections, that actually came out. So, yeah,
Wait a
great
minute.
job there, Trump.
Wait a minute. I've also heard the converse, that was stopped from happening.
They did stop that.
So,
let me take a look.
yeah, I don't know which way it has been, but the fact that it even became an issue disgusts me.
Yes.
Yeah, but again, it goes to everybody's trying to jump on this, to either get their own opportunities done, or again, it's a knee-jerk thing. It's like you get a tax return. Let's say you're in collections, or you got a student loan or something like that you need to pay back. The government will not give you the refund and instead put it towards your debts. So I think collections agencies were thinking that, well, yeah, that's the way it should be, except this is an emergency situation. This is not a nice little refund so that you can go buy something from
Anywhere.
buy a little toy from Walmart. This is so that you can live.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't surprise me if it initially came out like that, because collections agencies are sadistic bastards, and someone just kind of gave their head a shake, hopefully with a clue by four. But
Yeah, one can hope.
Here we go.
My personal favorite is the wonderful world of contracting, because I work in government contracting. And I love the fact that they awarded a contract to a company that has 0 employees to produce PPE equipment. But the company doesn't actually produce PPE equipment. They only are a middleman distributor, which means that they didn't really need the contract in the first place, because the companies that can produce the stuff have their own distribution channels.
Zach, I did find something. This is from a West Michigan, CBS West Michigan news site. When it comes to debt collections, and I quote: "In some cases, debt collectors can take your stimulus payment. These cases include child support back payments."
Okay, let's take them one at a time. This makes sense, but at the same time, that would really be a dick move.
As somebody who had to pay child support for a time, they were more than willing, had I not had a good attorney, to make it so that I would have eventually gone bankrupt, and which would have put me in jail, which I love to call debtor's prison.
Which at that point, agreed.
Because it really is in this country at that point. But I was lucky. I had a darn good attorney, and I had a lot of good people backing me up. There's a lot of men that don't have that.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. If both the father and the mother are getting one of these checks, then there needs to be no, this doesn't get for back payment. This gets for X amount only. And they could do that, so that way the father doesn't starve in the process.
Yeah, if memory serves, there's supposed to be a secondary check that can be applied for anyone that has a minor. Be that as it may, can I see this happening? It's a dick move to do, in my opinion. But at the same time, if it was really, really a token amount, maybe. But be that as it may. All right, that's the first one. Second one?
Yep. Second one, overdrawn bank accounts. So if you've got overdraft and you are late getting it back,
that one can also be a big pain in the ass right now. As someone who's worked in the industry, if it wasn't your fault, but because somebody else didn't get things scheduled correctly for other stuff that you'd had, if you've got automatic payment on stuff and somebody up the chain doesn't pay in at the right time and things end up with non-payment, well, that's not your fault, but try to explain that to everybody else. Again, this is a bit of a dick move depending as to what they're looking at, but okay. Yeah. Next one.
And the third and final one is private debt collections with a court judgment.
Oh.
So if it's gone through court already, and now the way I see this right now is, if somebody tries to pull a collection thing now and goes to the court is going to haul that guy out on his ass. I know they are, because this is an emergency situation. However, if this was part of a mandated payment plan that happened previously, it is possible that they could try to take a swipe at it. Now what they did say, however, the CARES Act, a massive relief program that includes the payments, does prevent the stimulus money from being pulled by federal student loans and owed taxes.
Okay.
So
the government can't take it back.
Yeah.
Who are we kidding? They'll figure out a way.
Now,
that's something at least.
Now, this week, 25 state attorneys general.
That's a pain in the ass, isn't it?
You're telling me. That. Including Michigan's Dana Nessel now, and the Hawaii Office of Consumer Protection, issued a joint letter to the U.S. Treasury Department expressing their concerns about debt collectors. This is the link that I posted down on our chat, so you can throw that in with the show notes later.
Can do.
There's a risk that stimulus payments may be garnished by creditors or debt collectors, which would undermine the purpose of the CARES Act, the attorneys general said in the statement. They requested the federal department take actions to designate CARES Act payment be exempt from garnishment by issuing regulation. So, like I said, it looks like these collectors jumped, but they're in the process of getting smacked down and told,
Cut it the hell out.
actually, I'm seeing an editorial cartoon of a dachshund, because that's the dog I see, that says debt collector on it, jumping at the dog food bowl, or sorry, jumping at the plate of food that says stimulus check for the people, and then the Fed coming up with the newspaper going, crack, no, bad dog.
I see that. I can, okay. No, I got that. I'm sure we can find somebody that can do that eventually. Find something. Anyway.
Okay, someone else is going to have to pay for the commission because, like I said, I'm broke.
No, don't worry about it.
But yeah, it's like I said, sounds like they went for it, but it also looks like people are trying to not let it happen.
Yeah, there's a certain point where you have to look at stuff and go, look, okay, yes, we agree that the rules are supposed to be in place, the rules of the laws, so that everybody works together. But there are occasionally mitigating circumstances where, you know, people need to live first and foremost. You don't have to be a dick in the middle of people just trying to survive, which is good.
Well, that's kind of a question right now. There's a lot of question in this country by a lot of people. I'm hearing it from multiple groups as well, not just one group in particular, about whether or not the people in positions of authority really want those who are most affected by this to actually survive. And it's a horrible thing to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a reality.
Yeah,
you're on to something there, because I mean, that's basically how the economy is set up. Those on the top don't see the people at the bottom, and they just set it up in a certain way. I mean, they've been, but it could extend to well, it started with religion. Well, you know, any form of non-democratic governing body has always tried to make people complacent, dependent on them, you know, whether out of fear or ignorance. This is basically what happens. You know, they've worked so damn hard to set up the system this way, where you've got generally the entire population dependent on a few key sources, owned by a few key people, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what happens when it all breaks down. I mean, that wasn't my original point, but anyways, how the system is set up, you know, as long as there's nothing like COVID-19 or, you know, some sort of other epidemic, it works more or less well. But as soon as you introduce something, quote unquote, outside of the norm, then yeah, well, all hell breaks loose, and the system won't work anymore. And what we're talking about now is just the results of a populace being reliant on a central few powers. And the most frustrating thing about that for me is our lack of say in that. We have no control over it. If the food chain goes down, like here in France, I have the I can support my in times where there's no illness or anything. I can support my local farmers. You know, the country's not that far away from Paris. I mean, that I have that option. Whereas in many countries, probably mainly the U.S., there's only one option. And yeah.
Well, that part really depends as to where you live in the U.S. When you're in the metropolis areas, yeah, you don't really have too much of a choice. But an area where I live, where I'm I'm a half an hour away from something that qualifies as part of Buffalo Metro. Yeah, there are a lot of there are far more farms out this way than not.
And
Just
here,
as an example.
you're right. Like being in a city, yeah. Well, little chance of me. Yeah, I'm just as fucked as anybody else.
Yeah, and you're quite right. Uh, for by the way,
I'm
for
sorry. I tried to say a lot of things in a small amount of time, like I usually do. I
not a
don't know if that was.
not a worry. Want to kind of put this into a little bit of perspective. By the way, also, I did the conversion really quickly. By the way, the $1,200 that folks are getting, and if I'm not mistaken, it's supposed to be. I think I'm scare quoting on this one. Think it's supposed to be $1,200 per week. I think I've kind of. You remember earlier I was talking about being overloaded with shit? That converts out to about just a little bit over 1,100 euros. So for just getting by, I'm kind of wondering 1,100 euros in Paris. I gotta
Wouldn't even
imagine that
cover
can't
my
be
rent.
exactly easy.
It won't even
That
cover
would,
his rent. He just said.
and well, it's funny in times like this. It really puts things into perspective. I mean, um, when it comes down to things like survival, and how can I say this clearly? I'm not used to talking about this. I think about it a lot. Um, what work is or not. Like, for example, um, Dallin brought up earlier about the middleman. Oh no, it
Sorry.
was Tech, even before the show. Like the middleman is there's our survival is at stake. We have to work X amount to ensure our own survival. But in times like this, we come across like obstacles of the takers who are still trying to take from us. People who don't work at all. For example, our landlords. I mean, in renting an apartment, that's a price of privilege. That's not a price of actual work. Like all of these things in our economy that we attribute value to, when we really look at them, they have no value at all. And it's in times like this that they become an obstacle to our own survival. Like, for example, this check you're talking about. Yeah, my landlord would take all of it, and she's just sitting on her ass in the country, just waiting for me to finish paying off her mortgage so that she can buy a new house.
Now, to be fair,
Mm.
nobody really. Okay, fine, whatever.
No partial.
Anyway, I've rented, and when I rented here in the States, and of course, where you rent in the States, what county, what state, what city, and everything else that you live in, there are different laws. But what ultimately ended up happening is an appliance broke down. Well, the apartment came with the appliances. Okay, they were obligated under the contract that I was paying for to either A, have it repaired within a timely manner, B, replaced, and there was an additional clause underneath that could, if they could not do either one in a timely fashion and it caused me to lose food, there was up to a certain dollar amount of value of food that they would be forced to replace. And I was fortunate they were able to replace it in a timely manner. We didn't have a pandemic going on, and I didn't lose anything. So it was all good. When my drain clogged up, they sent a plumber. Okay, this is how it's supposed to work. Granted, you come across really bad landlords, happens all the time.
Yeah,
I was lucky
slumlords.
enough, yeah, but I was actually in a managed system, and everybody had the same contract. There was an on-site uh, maintenance group. They had operating hours, they had emergency operating hours, they had regular phone lines, emergency, the whole nine yards. So, but I've also rented from a private individual. and again, we had come up to a contractual agreement. But I know that there are ones that do, like you say, do take advantage of the people, and those ones need to be called to account.
Well, let's just say that during while everything's good, while we're earning our, um, six-figure income or whatever, if you're lucky, or if you
I'm
work
never
hard
has.
at it, then this kind of thing isn't a problem. But if you find yourself you don't mind giving your landlord a small share of what you're earning, but as soon as you find yourself like out of work and actually in a survival situation, yeah, that value you attribute to those quote unquote services, um, it's funny, the services you described, they exist because basically nobody knows how to fix anything themselves anymore, but that's another side story. But I mean, yeah, let's just say it puts everything into perspective. The price we're willing to pay for convenience just evaporates in times of duress. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, the
We
idea
tend
of
to give it we tend to give convenience more value than it actually has. It basically comes down to our own laziness and ignorance as well.
well, with certain things, yeah. I mean, as far as to the whole being able to repair things, that's that's definitely a discussion for another day. But I
That
know
would actually be a positive conversation piece.
potentially. I
Yeah,
know for well that there are a number of us that would have all kinds of things to say about it, especially where automobile engineering is concerned. But be that as it may,
I'm not a good mechanic.
well, I that's not the kind of mechanic I was thinking of. Engineering, I guess, is probably the better way of putting it. And in any case, the piece I wanted to see about specifically covering while we've still got the back half of it all is like I was like for the topic itself. There are people who never mind that there are external forces trying to get at this money for people to be able to survive on. I want to make sure that I got that very clearly. This is this is a pittance for surviving. It's really what it comes down to. And as an aside, by the way, Stephanie had also questioned me on the timetable, asking per week. Don't you mean per month? You know what? You're probably right, and I just kind of forgot the timetable because, I'm a little
Yeah,
lost with everything.
if it was per week,
Yeah, yeah, I
two
know.
trillion. Yeah, no, you'd have to like triple that or
Yeah,
quadruple it.
yeah. In any case, never mind the fact that we've got organizations who might be legally entitled to a cut of that check. And again, legally doesn't necessarily mean morally entitled. So, keep in mind for a second.
But
We've got
don't forget, it's your money. You paid it already in taxes.
agreed,
It's
agreed.
basically whatever they're not spending on the military.
Again, a whole
And
other topic.
compared to that, I mean,
Yeah, yeah. That's that again. That's a whole other piece, and for well
You know,
that's in my wheelhouse. But
when
where
I
I'm
read your topic tonight, if I may, when I read your topic tonight about hubris or however you want to pronounce it, I looked and I thought there was no more perfect word for somebody who is full of so much self-confidence that they could do whatever they want for our president of this country, as well as for a lot of other people in this country and other countries too. The president is not alone in this. He is not a unique figure in his self-centeredness, his self-assuredness, his self-confidence, and everything else. Whether he's faking it or not is immaterial. It's what he portrays. Um, that gets people killed during the Vietnam War. Those brand new, shiny, whatever, just came out of whatever school line, whatever, who joined the people in the trenches, would get those people in those men in the trenches killed. And Joe, you have a good night. We understand completely, man. Rest well.
Yep.
And when they got a couple guys killed, turnabout occurred. Well, right now we have people who are in positions of authority with that kind of hubris who are getting people killed, except there's no turnabout because they're not putting themselves in positions where that turnabout can occur. We have, the Secret Service, we have FBI, we have police, we have, you name it, personal protection agencies, you name it. The other ones who are full of their hubris are the people that right up and down the street from each other who decided that my God's going to protect me. I'm going to go to church and you can't tell me otherwise because my God is almighty. Except just like that one church where the attorney was fighting the stay-at-home order where even the churches were closed. That attorney's in the hospital on oxygen, and when he was interviewed over the phone, he said, "I don't know how I got it."
Yeah. Where I was specifically going, though, is that there are two pieces about it. Like I was saying, you've got these organizations that are perhaps legally entitled to part of someone's income because of legal reasons. It's dick move to do, but legally entitled to because wordings of all this shit. But then you've got the ones where people have been programmed. I don't know that there's a better term for it. Programmed that they are supposed to. They are obligated to give some of this money. Like I talked about, right at the top, where some of these religious leaders, these cult group operatives, are saying, what's the first thing that you should be doing with your stimulus check? You should be tithing to the church. And it's not just the Christian guys who were doing it. Although that seems to tend to be much more of it.
It's prominent here in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's a form. It's rationalization. I mean, it's like people looking at a situation and just looking at reality and just taking the aspects of it most convenient to them. I mean, the church is taking advantage of people's gullibility and fear of whatever that they put in them, by the way.
Yep.
To garner something for themselves. And I mean, you've got the debt collectors who, as Shushan said, may, on a technicality, have the quote-unquote right to take certain things, or whether it be a debt collector or not. But even they're not considering that the person they're taking money from has to pay rent, has to survive by some means. They're not considering that because that's not convenient to them. So they're only taking the part of reality that's convenient to them. I mean, everybody's doing this. I mean, but not everybody. But I mean, reality is something, especially in a survival situation. Reality is something to be considered as a whole. We just can't take the bits and pieces of it most convenient to us.
This whole situation reminds me of a book series I'm reading. Not that one, Tech, a different one.
Okay. All right. We went to the same place.
Yeah. Although you might know this one too. I don't know. There's a series of fantasy books written by Jim Butcher. You might know him from the Dresden Files.
Yes.
The series is called Codex Alera, and it's a fantasy setting centered around a kid, growing up, all that kind of stuff. The overarching thing is that there is something coming. An invasion of a species, of a creature that it's a hive mind thing. I mean, it's aliens, it's the Zerg, it's the Flood, it's the Infested if you play Warframe, it's the Tyranids if you're a 40k player.
It's the Borg.
It's the Borg. However, even though, and there are some people who see it coming, and they are doing their best to fight against it, but inside the Alaran society, there are still politics. There are still power plays. There are people going, how can I turn this to my personal advantage so that when this is all over, I come out on top? Not realizing that there's a very good chance that they're going to die as everybody else unless they put all this crap aside and lend a hand to fight back this invasion.
And that's what we're seeing in America.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why this reminds
as well as
me,
other countries.
Because you've got COVID-19, you've got this pandemic, that is, oh God, I saw a video today. Over 2 million cases worldwide confirmed. And congratulations, USA, for being number one in deaths again today.
That's where Trump likes us. Number
yeah,
one.
Actually, if you're subscribed to Thunderfoot's other channel, Voice of Thunder, he actually does a daily thing, checking up on, what are the numbers today? Are we seeing the curve flatten, that kind of stuff, and all of that. He doesn't get too political about it, but he is who he is. But he does give you the numbers. And there's a way to, if not fight this, at least get it to the point that the medical systems can ramp up and maintain a particular level of care so that if somebody comes down with this, or if somebody starts showing the symptoms, because again, asymptomatic, all that wonderful stuff. If someone comes in, gargling or whatever, and they need someone to take care of them, they'll have that capacity, which is great. But you've got other people who are, how can I turn this to my advantage? Here comes a stimulus check. How can I get that to make me better so that when I come out of this on the other side, I'll be in that better position. Although I'm seeing my Facebook feed filled with all kinds of karmic stories about preachers who, say we're going to assemble in the name of God, and look at that, COVID-19 took you off the board.
Well, it's worse than that. They assemble and then they go back to their families, and they tell their families, "Look, I'm all fine. You can go see your friends." And so maybe one of those friends who came over, family stayed home from church.
Like, some of the states are talking about. Some of the states are talking about reopening schools.
Yeah, that's the quickest way to spread the damn shit.
What could possibly go wrong there? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
My son's mother and I have already talked about. We agree that if the schools reopen where he's living, he's not attending.
Yeah.
But I don't want to make this all gloom and doom, because I heard something else today. And I've been following this, and I finally got all the points together. So maybe I can hopefully cut through some of the tension with it. You've heard about what Elon Musk has done?
Not offhand.
Okay.
I think it's been a little quiet for.
No. It's okay. So, old Muskie.
It sounds wrong.
I know. There's a furry reference on there. So.
I was even talking about that.
I hear a Blue 33 reference. But
anyways, Elon went out and purchased a whole bunch of CPAP and BPAP machines.
All right.
I think he got them from, now I know he got them from overseas because he's got that kind of moxie and power to do it.
Oh, in any case.
Don't blame him.
Now, there's been some, I think it was CNN ran a story that he didn't get ventilators. And they were going to drag him for it. Now, let me disavow a couple, or let me what do you call it? Disabuse a few things here. Yeah, they weren't ventilators in the context that people think of ventilators right now. That being said, CPAPs and BPAPs are a type of ventilator. They're what they're called non-invasive.
Right.
I use one. So they do force your lungs, just not as bad as being intubated.
But
Which
they do
believe-
require, like being intubated, they still require a physician or a technician who's knowledgeable
yes.
to properly program them for your resistance of your own lungs.
Oh, I know, but trust me,
No,
I went through all of this.
I'm not saying this to you. I'm saying
Yeah.
to the audience in case they get the idea. Well, I can just get a CPAP machine. And if I get sick, I'll wear that and I'll be fine. It's like no.
Yeah, no.
Because if you set it, you could blow your lungs out.
Yeah.
Del?
Here's the part two.
Yeah,
Here's the part two.
Hold on one second, though. Do these things work on just the general air around it, or does it require an additional oxygen container?
They themselves are pumps. They pull it from the air in the environment.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
okay, mine pulls from the air through a filter
Okay.
and then goes in. Now, the part two of this
Okay.
is that this is what the hospitals ordered. Specifically, they wanted CPAPs and BPAPs to this specification because they have a supplier who 3D prints the adaptations necessary to turn these things into the proper invasive ventilating systems that they need I banged my microphone, that they need for their patients.
Very cool.
They worked all of this out, said to Elon, look, okay, so a ventilator in the current context costs X. The CPAPs and BPAPs cost Y and Z. I'm Canadian, fuck you.
American. I had to go looking at CPAP machines because I need to get a sleep study done. And I will potentially need one.
Yeah.
Depending on what you get, they cost anywhere from roughly about $200 for just the basic model to $500 to $600 for a semi-advanced model. But there are more expensive ones too. Keep going.
I had to drop 12 on mine.
But in any case, these are basically these are small suitcase sized or smaller typically, right?
About this.
This one fits on my nightstand.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
yeah. And mine's got a reservoir for water, so it keeps the air humid, which is great where I live. Oh yeah, well actually for mine it's just a hose. If I change the hose, I get heated. It's that simple. But so the thing, and I think it was like 5,000 or 6,000 of these things that he was able to get a hold of, and then this other company was able to get the parts to help them repurpose it. So like I saw the hand motion. It was like, I want to say Monte Bene, but whatever.
it's okay.
CNN and some of the other media companies went out of their way to drag him for this because, well, they're desperate. I mean, there's even talk of, oh God, what's his name? Chris Cuomo. Yes, he's the brother of is he the governor of New York?
He
Andrew
was
Cuomo?
at one time.
Well, no, he still is.
Yes, but the Cuomo family has been in the public spotlight in New York for a number of years. Decades.
Yeah. Anyways. Well, like apparently CNN is running this thing where, Chris Cuomo is quarantined in his basement and he's got the sweats and he's not feeling good. Well, somebody found him outside inspecting a property with his wife and kids. Yeah.
Okay, news to me.
And CNN is tripling down on this, apparently. The only reason I'm going through all of this is that the mainstream media these days, folks, question everything.
See, this is why I listen to the scientists and the doctors. I don't listen to the media anymore. I'm
Yeah.
done with them. I can't. I can't listen to the bullshit political crap of whatever rhetoric Trump wants to throw out there and everything else. I've got to listen to what the doctors and the scientists have to say. I have to follow their advice. You have to use common sense where I don't have advice from the specialists. And as for everybody else, look, if you're not telling me that the governor instituted a new order and you're just trying to tell me general advice, shut the hell up and move on to something else. Tell me about how somebody saved a puppy today, okay? You're more than likely to get my viewership back if you tell me about how the local teenage group decided to band together and help deliver groceries for the seniors while still maintaining a sterile environment and so on and so on and so on. That's how you get my viewership back. You know, when you tell me that these governors have formed a consortium, they have managed to get things together, they've got the ball rolling, that's how you get my viewership back. But telling me that so-and-so did this when they actually did that, and telling me lies and twisting the truth, I don't want to watch you anymore. I have given up on many of the mainstream channels at this point.
Okay.
But, I thought I'd throw that one out there as a nice piece of good news about what Musk did, and
that is good. I
I'll
didn't hear that one at all.
I'll see if I can get some sources for you.
I didn't hear either side of that one, so
I appreciate that. And you know, I've said on many occasions, you know, BTN, when all is said and done, you know, BTN solutions will work. BTN stands for better than nothing. Now that we are, half an hour left in the show, so with the quarter of the show that's left at this point, I want to really finally get to the actual topic that I was trying to have us talk through.
Hubris?
The hubris of these televangelists is absolutely staggering to me. Where Jim Bakker is they've cut off the credit card processing is no longer doing for us anymore, so we need a new way of getting your money so that we can stay in business and proclaim the bright side of the backside of Princess Luna's ass. I don't know, whatever the hell he wants to sell at this point. Are we ever going to buy one of these? You know, the only good thing about these buckets is that you can freeze them solid in an industrial freezer with tea, so you've got something to keep you hydrated with for the next 3 days.
Well, there is another good use for them. Once you finish eating all the food in there, you can poop in it. Assuming you still poop after you eat that stuff.
This is a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point right there. But these guys, they're doing their thing. They're saying, "Come on down. God will protect you." Whoever that crazy MFer is with the
Covered in the blood of Jesus,
no, that not that poor woman. I feel pity for
Kentucky,
people like
Florida, what state?
I don't even disbelief, I guess, is probably the best. The one who is just like, look at what God's gonna do. The COVID's now gone. Whatever the hell.
Oh, that motherfucker. I think that was Florida.
I don't. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because these people are just a room full of nothing, and all these guys are up on their stage and they're keeping themselves separated from each other, but they're still going to go ahead and they're still going to proclaim and they're still going to beg for your money, because why stop the gravy train just because people are dying?
I also find it interesting that a lot of the more successful ones are maintaining safe social distancing practices, but they expect their congregation all bustling as deep and as many seated across as possible.
Yeah. Copeland. Yeah. That's what the motherfucker's name was.
Oh,
Copeland.
That piece of human garbage.
That's the nicest way you could have possibly
garbage.
Put that.
I mean, look, how much has Joel Osteen donated? How about Pat Robertson? How much has he donated?
You know, I haven't heard a peep out of those two. I haven't heard a peep out of those two guys since this whole thing started.
This whole thing has started. They haven't spoken up. They haven't sent prayers out. They haven't donated any of their money, their property, anything to feed the homeless, to help out, restaurants that are forced to shutter because they can't, they don't have any business. I haven't heard these guys doing anything,
No.
and that's because they're they're snakes oil salesmen. When snake oil salesmen were realized that they were about to get caught, they'd flee town and go on to the next one.
Yep.
That's all they are. No, I'm not sorry. You people who follow these people, you deserve it because you refuse to acknowledge that you're getting shafted.
Yeah, we should just
But
remind people that if you're not sure, look up the town Passamaquoddy. There's a reference that some people are just going to go, how do you spell that? I don't know either. Don't worry about it. Ask Google to look it up for you. But yeah, that's you're quite right. Stephanie, by the way, I think Scathing Atheist bought a bucket some time ago. I don't
yeah,
remember if it was
they did a
them
whole thing on it.
or Cognitive Dissonance. I think they did. The guys from Good Mythical Morning a while ago had done something very similar, and they basically came down and said, "Yeah, this isn't great, but if you're a prepper, you could do worse." I don't know
There are
how, but
certain there are certain here's an example of a dehydrated food actually being a good product. I have a 1 pound bag of dehydrated cheddar cheese in my cupboard. Okay. This is real cheese that the moisture has been pulled out of and the remnants run through and turned into a powder. It looks like the stuff that you would get on cheddar cheese popcorn or Cheetos, except it's not that level of saltiness. Okay.
yeah, I got you there.
And in very light doses, a very light sprinkle, it makes a very light cheddar flavor. So the more you use, the more cheddar flavor you get. If you reconstitute it with water, you're actually going to get a cheddar cheese paste out of it that's spreadable on crackers. I've tried this.
Okay.
You just have to, like any kind of preserved food that's designed to be cupboard shelf stable, it's almost always going to have a high salt content. So if you have a heart condition that has to maintain low salt, this is probably not a good option for you. Most aren't. Especially cheddar in general is not a good option for you because that's a naturally high salt cheese. This product actually works. It tastes good. It tastes like cheese because it is cheese. It doesn't. I bought one that didn't have too many artificial ingredients in it, and it is shelf stable as long as I keep the moisture low. So I have desiccant packets that are sealed. I'm not doing a homemade brew thing. I'm doing a professional made, certified for food grade, and
There you
I
go.
put one in there to help keep the moisture down. So it doesn't need to be refrigerated after opening either. If I run out of cheese in my fridge and I want to add cheese flavor to a spaghetti dish or just a sandwich that I'm making and I don't have cheese left, spread a little mustard on it, sprinkle a little of this powder on it, there's my cheese flavor. Okay? Some of these things really do work very well, but you have to do your research. You have to see, am I getting something that's just 6,000 milligrams of salt, or is there actual protein here? Is there actual ingredients that I need here? And some of these things, some of these prep dehydrated systems are good, they work, and they suit many people's needs, but you have to vet them. You have to see if it suits your needs, your dietary restrictions, and what you want to do. But don't go overboard. If one of those buckets actually does meet your needs, don't buy 20 of them. Buy a couple.
Yeah.
Because there are other people who need too.
I put another link in the notes or in our chat for mypatriotsupply.com. Again, YouTuber I listened to a fair bit, Tim Pool. He actually got on with these guys and got I think he got a 4-week or a 2-week or 4-week supply. Again, it's in cases like this where the markets are, where the stores are starting to be empty, where meat is apparently going through the roof in terms of price and everything, having something like this Yeah, a lot of people they'd call you a prepper. They'd call you, like, who do you think you are? You're gonna be those oh God, who was that militia? Uh the one that taught us that Amazon actually ships 55-gallon drums of lube.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys, yeah. You know,
Let me
they could
stop
have
there.
benefited from this.
Let me interrupt you there.
Hmm?
This has got to stop, people, as a whole. Oh, you're a socialist. Oh, you're a prepper. Oh, you're this. You know what? Stop it, because it goes both ways. I saw the screenshot that was making its rounds all over Reddit. That'll probably be on Facebook tomorrow, where somebody had posted a snide remark of, hey Trump haters, don't forget, don't accept that $1,200 because it's coming from the man that you hate most, right? And then somebody responded with, hey, Trump supporters, don't take that $1,200 check because don't forget, that's only for the poor and that's socialism. See, it goes both ways. It's the same freaking coin, people.
It's tribalism.
Yeah, stop this shit. We are human fucking beings. Treat each other as such. Start saying please and thank you and excuse me and pardon me. All right? If you disagree with somebody, do it in a civil manner. Do research. Do talk gently, quietly. We don't need more yelling. We got a madman yelling at the camera and the press. Okay? All that stuff aside. Let me rephrase that. Okay? Let me rephrase that. We have people who are going on television and yelling because it's not just one person. There are a lot of people yelling, and I've said it before. When everybody's yelling at everybody, nobody's having a conversation. Now's the perfect time to have a conversation. We're all home. You know, we have this wonderful communication system in front of us. Be gentle with each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't use Zoom.
Well, that's all well, but if you're applying that to a society who, for the most part, has nothing but their own comfort level as a means of judging anything, I'm not so sure that rationality is even possible. I mean, what you're talking about is great between rational people, but I'm kind of worried that a good lot of the population is not rational.
Yeah,
And in
that's
situations where like this, where we're getting outside of their comfort bubble, well, anything outside of the comfort bubble, anything they've experienced empirically or whatever's been passed down to them by whatever authority they have faith in, instead of deciding for themselves the value of anything, we're getting into panic territory. I mean, rationality is just going to evaporate.
that's definitely something that's worth talking over, because there's something about this that, like I alluded to in my opening, that we could probably have we could probably see about having a discussion about that a little bit later, because the pieces. I don't think I'm going to be able to hold on too well for too much longer, and I forgive me, I've not been well rested for the better part of a week. It's kind of the way that things have been. So I want to kind of see about wrapping a little bit quicker than normal. With I had intended to really talk about these charlatans. I can't think of a better way of putting it. Who have said, "Come in, be in the pews, be with us, and share your testimony with us all, and God will keep you safe." And these pastors are dropping dead because they got sick. They rolled a 1 on their constitution, and well, there you go. And the sad part of it is you don't have to roll a 1 at this point. With the
One
way
thing's
that this
for
thing's
sure,
been.
you can tell the real believers from the ones who are. I wonder if somebody who's fully aware of the evil they're doing, if they call their parishioners to come in. Well, let's just say the true believers are the ones who are dying.
Yeah. Yeah, because what I wrote about the for the show note, the description, I was hoping that Bridget would be with us, because the last piece that I got there, you don't accept Darwinian evolution because so many of these folks can be just creationism one way or another. Even the soft creationists in the Catholic Church, even the Catholic whatever. Anyway, but you're willing to run an unethical experiment on your trusting populace without even meaning to. I really want to end with that, because these folks, whether they're the true believers or just the charlatans out for the money, either way, they are unscrupulously and unethically putting these people to death. There's no other way to put it. And that is absolutely abominable. I can't think of a better word for it. It makes my skin crawl.
Yeah, like I wonder. So, yeah, we've seen the footage of Copeland blowing and saying that that America is now cured.
His face looks more plastic than Dolly Parton's cleavage. That's called back to last night, by the way.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's apropos right there. What I wonder about these televised sermons and these other things where the fire and brimstone preacher gets up on stage there and does his thing. How full are those collection plates at the end of that thing? Because something tells me there's a price of admission to get into those things. And I suspect, I really have no this one, but something tells me that Copeland did not just do this out of the kindness of his heart.
No.
And again, he probably saw it as, you know what? Here's the fear. Here's the desperation. I'm going to come in with the secret, with the Deepak Chopra, because they are ripe for the fleecing.
Yep.
Now, that is what me as a more skeptically minded individual would think. This is a business opportunity.
And
or
the
it could very, yeah.
And the cynic over here is right on board with you on this one.
Yeah. But the other part of me thinks is it could very well be that this guy is absolutely as batshit crazy as the package advertises, which is even more terrifying. It's one thing to okay, look, it's a dick move to con somebody by using their faith.
Yep.
It's another thing if you're swallowing it as much hook, line, and sinker as they are. It just makes you wonder how much of it is an act, because they know exactly what they're doing. There was a movie with Steve Martin where he played one of these faith healing priests or whatever.
Oh,
except that he knew that he was a fake.
Blue Velvet.
And he knew that. I can't remember.
I think that's what it was. Anyway,
he knew what he was doing. And so I wonder, is Kenneth Copeland one of those? Or is he as crazy or is he as faithful as he advertises? Both are scary. The latter to me is terrifying.
It's amazing. think I've said before, but it's amazing how one can transition between, in a survive by imitation society. It's amazing how one can transition from being between being a follower of conformism, ça veut dire, lapsing to French, which means you observe your neighbor and you imitate them, and between becoming a conformist leader, which means that basically you take a list of rules and you enforce them on other people. And some of these religious leaders, I think they're in the latter situation, and they're still surviving by imitation. All they really know is what works or not. So, in non-pandemic times, making demands on their flock, well, it works for them. I can say any damn thing I want, and they'll just obey. It's like even like Trump saying he could shoot somebody in the street and he'd still have.
And it's interesting that you say during non-pandemic times, because, and this goes back to what I said at the beginning, nobody in this generation knows how to act in pandemic times. So they're doing what they know because they have no
It doesn't exist. It's not part of the comfort bubble. We're outside of, we're in uncharted territory, and like,
Man,
tonight's my night for movie references. The
It's real
A-Team
simple.
movie.
Stay at home.
Well, yeah, the A-Team movie. Yes, I went there. Don't judge me. I like that movie.
didn't see it.
Well,
It wasn't bad.
towards the end of the movie, Face comes up with the plan. If you remember the TV show, you know what Hannibal did.
Oh God! All right.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, this time it was Face who came up with the plan because it was part of his character arc in the movie. And partway through the plan, one of the bad guys shot the ship they were on with a rocket launcher, which was definitely not in the plan.
No, it wouldn't be. I would expect.
And so I think it was BA asked, like, what about the plan? He says, the plan just got blown up by a rocket launcher. That's kind of what's happened here. The pandemic has thrown an RPG-sized monkey wrench into the machinations of people like this. And they don't know how to act because now everything is off script. So what they're trying to do is they are grasping for whatever control they can still influence because it's all they know.
And now we have a country populated with Karens who are losing their goddamned minds.
Bingo. Because right now, the world is off script.
The world's turned upside down.
Yeah. Actually, it's turned upside down and then gone sideways. And now you're looking at it through the lens of, the old Batman show where the villains' hideouts were all twisted or tilted. That's kind of what we're seeing now.
And we don't even have a Lin-Manuel song to make us feel good about ourselves for it.
I know. But that's just it. Everything's off script. Everybody is desperately trying to...
They're trying to
find their way back through the chaos to get that foothold so that they can reclaim a sense of order. But they don't realize that to do that, they are going to have to change, but they don't know how.
Well, they don't even realize that. It's just like they just want to get into charted territory. They want everything to be, quote unquote, the way it was before.
On that note, absolutely I agree. I have met people who, some of my family and some not my family, who they're having a hard time with this. they're having a hard time with the fact that the world suddenly changed in just a matter of a few weeks, and it's not the way they want it to be. And it adds on top to the way the world has been changing for the last decade. And it's really bothering them. Some of them are able to handle it to some degree because some of them went through polio and the whole 9 yards. Others, even having gone through polio, are still having a hard time. A conversation with one in general was, hey, look, there are new rules. The world, as you know it, is over. There are new rules. And if you don't follow the new rules, you die and or you kill someone else. And while that person agreed that, they've had a good life, death, they don't know how much longer they have left anyway, but the prospect of taking out somebody else, that bothers them because that person in question is a very good person. They do care about others, which is why they are staying indoors and everything else. But we have a lot of people who don't care about others out, who are having a hard time, and they don't want to hear it. They want it back, just like you said, the way it was when they were comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because that applies to both ends of the spectrum. This applies to the people fully aware of the ignorance of the populace.
It applies to anybody who predates the plague or the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've got the people who have set up the economy the way it is, who depend on a larger populace of dependent and ignorant. And then you've got the ignorant themselves who just don't know anything. These guys at the top, they want to go back to their, okay, we want $10 from everybody's pocket every month, just like we had before. And then you've got the populace who doesn't know anything outside of their comfort bubble. Well, all they want to do is return to their comfort bubble. It works on both ends.
Yeah, you've got the Karens who want to go back to Karening.
Yeah.
Back in the hand for the Karens.
I don't even know what that is. What is Karens?
We'll tell you after the show.
Yeah, it's
it'll take a couple of extra minutes that I don't have, unfortunately, because we're getting to the point where I'm gonna need to. I really do need to close because I'm getting to the point where I know when I've gotten too long into past, running on vapors, because I have a hard time concentrating in order to get to where I need to get to. So
alcohol vapor.
It's not that. It's not that.
Fumes.
Yeah, I've been having like I said earlier, I've not been well rested for the better part of the week. So the alcohol is not helping, but I have not had, I've not had very much at all, really, when all is said and done. So it's not that. Gentlemen, I want to go ahead and see if there's any last items that anybody wants to close with before I wrap us up. Joseph, I'll give you first shot at this. And
yeah, well, if in this situation, if you come across a situation where you have an obstacle and you have no control over it, well, just let it be a lesson about your role in society. Well, let it apply to the post-pandemic. Become more implicated in the economy you're part of. The products you buy, who you vote for, you have to have a say in this kind of thing. And it's going to take some thought. I know thinking's hard, but if we're going to avoid a future situation where we're going to find ourselves once again in a situation of complete reliance on a few key actors that should they fall, that would be our demise. Just to avoid that kind of situation, we have to decide a little more towards thought and a little less to the side of convenience.
Okay. Dallin?
If you can help, help. If you've got the ability to help someone else who's fallen down and who needs it, don't hesitate. But like they say in the airlines, make sure your own mask is secured before you secure anybody else's. Do not overextend yourself. It might feel good. You may have that wonderful sense of altruism, but remember, at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you're able to get up to help that person the next day. So to thine own self be true. Question the media right now. Whatever side, whatever bend you're on, whatever part of the spectrum you fall on in terms of your beliefs, your principles, whatever, look at everything with a critical eye these days, because right now someone could tell you something and it could end up killing you. Someone could tell you something and yeah, maybe you'll be safe from one thing, but something else may kill you. Like Joseph said, we've got to stop relying on everybody else to inform us. We need to find our answers for ourselves. We need to help if we can and however we can. But above all, just stay safe. Whatever that entails, do it. Take care of yourself. And that way we can take care of each other.
Tech?
One of the things we pointed out was there's a lot of fear. The fear comes from ignorance, believe it or not. And I don't mean ignorance as an insult. I mean ignorance in the technical term that it is a lack of knowledge. Ignorance can be cured with knowledge, education. Okay? Right now, we have a lot of time. I mean, a lot of us have access to the sum of total human knowledge that is indexable and searchable from just about damn near anywhere in the world. Some people are not so lucky. But there's also schools making the attempts to try to get those who are not so lucky but have kids that same level of access. Like Dallin said, vet your sources, do your research, be skeptical, but pay attention to what the scientists and the doctors are saying. And I don't mean your local pediatrician down the street. I mean people like Dr. Fauci. And granted, he's not the end-all be-all. But when it comes to pandemics and viruses, at least as far as viruses go, it's not his first rodeo as a scientist, medical scientist. This is his ballpark. This is his playing field. This is his area of expertise. He's learned to play some politics, as we've seen on television, but that is so that he can continue talking to people. So if you can read between the lines, you can get the answers. And that can be a hard thing to do for a lot of people. But you don't have to be afraid if you arm yourself with knowledge. The knowledge that no. And this was something that I was afraid of, but I have learned to temper this fear because I now have knowledge. According to the CDC, this is not a bloodborne virus. Mosquitoes, I do not have to fear. But I've been fearing them for the last month because I know that on the East Coast, the Asian tiger mosquito is an incredibly aggressive mosquito and very prevalent on this coastline. I'm thankful for that knowledge, and I'm sharing that knowledge with other people I know have that fear. And I can redirect them to where I obtained that knowledge from. So it's not just word of mouth. This is the key. This is how we abolish ignorance. This is how we cure it. And when I relay this information, I don't go, you don't have to worry about it anymore. I go, no, guess what I learned from the CDC today? This is what I know. This is what I thought. This is how it made the correction to me. So that way they have the knowledge that not only they weren't the only ones thinking that, it was me too. They're not alone. People want to know they're not alone, not only in a time of need, but in a time of ignorance. Don't be afraid to let them know that you, like them, were fearful of the same thing, and you have learned something, and you're sharing it because you care. This is what it means to be respectful and loving of others. If you truly believe that your God wants you to love someone, this is the best way to show it. Cure ignorance, and do so with love in your heart.
I'm gonna make this pretty quick. It's not what I was planning on closing with to go more with the actual topic, but kind of pulling these two items together. I've seen people saying that they are agreeing with the idea to defund national support of WHO because the complaint that's put out, the conspiracy theory is that the WHO has said that they want to go ahead and go into your homes and take sick people out of your homes bodily. That was the conspiracy theory. And Chris Tucker, I think is who it was, over on Fox News, went ahead and played this clip, this 15-second clip, that seemed to bolster that. And people spread it around like wildfire. I didn't believe that this was the whole thing because this didn't seem right for me. So I went hunting. And I found the 30 March WHO press conference where they took questions from the people from the various news agencies. And I listened. I listened to the entire hour. At about 45 minutes in, they were talking about what it was like to be in areas where they don't have as much, technologically speaking. They don't have that kind of availability. So they rely on shoe leather work, actually walking through these areas, talking with the communities, finding out who's been sick, who hasn't, what have they had, what haven't they had, getting their symptoms, talking to the people, taking their temperatures, getting whatever samples that are necessary in order to find out, is it part of the pandemic that's been going on that you guys have got at this point? Well, it turns out that maybe you don't. Congratulations. That's wonderful. But you're in an area where there is no cell coverage, where you don't have the same technological expertise. So when the WHO goes through and talks with these communities, and now that the virus is no longer being contracted by community, but it's now by households because it's been reduced so far, now these shoe leather working folks go through the communities and talk to the individuals, and they find out who's been sick. Now they get the opportunity to find out, house by house, family by family, and have to ask so that they can get these people to the medical facilities to help them in order to eradicate this virus by starving it of new places for it to infect. What's the expression? A lie can circle the globe before the truth can lace up its shoes. Do your research. Find out what's going on. Ask the questions. Who has what to gain by putting this out there? And yeah, Fauci's doing his thing because that's his area of expertise. This is his passion. He studied for it. He knows what the hell he's doing. There are other doctors out there who have done the same damn thing. And if you think any of them that have one-word names that they're known by, if you think that they are out there for your betterment, you really need to rethink it. Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil, please. If you're believing these people that they're going to have it in their best interest for your best interest, yeah, go ahead and roll a die 20. See what you get. And make sure that you take off a -5 for trusting these people. The fucking charlatans, the whole lot of them. I got a hell of a lot more that I want to vent on all that, but I think we've gone far enough at this point. So, as always, everybody, thank you very much for being with us tonight. We hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives and got something to really consider for yourself for later. We need to get out of here because I've got a lot of editing that I've got to do before I get out of here, and I'm not doing real good. Joseph, thank you very much for your time. You have yourself a good day, and I don't remember if it was earlier this week that you had posted the panoramic picture of Paris on Facebook. That was lovely to see.
Oh, okay. It's funny because when I took it, it was like the panorama pictures that are stretched out. You got a super wide. I thought it looked better like that, but I mean, when I posted it, when I uploaded it to Facebook, they helpfully made a panorama out of it. But that was taken from the top of where I work. There's a cafeteria on the top floor, and there's a huge terrace, which must be very nice now. But unfortunately, you can't really take advantage of it. So you guys all take care. Stay safe in there.
Absolutely. And good luck out there, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. See you next week.
Yeah. Tech, thank you very much. And of course, as you know full well, my best luck to you and your circles.
Absolutely. Thank you. And to yours as well. You're up there. And we haven't, where I'm at, we have not peaked. And for those of you watching who don't understand what I mean by that, the difference between the SARS virus that we're experiencing, commonly referred to as coronavirus or COVID-19, it's a form of SARS. There's no vaccine for this. There's no flu shot. There's no nothing, which is why the flu tends to be a bump. In New York and many other states, it becomes a spike. Very short, very brief, with a lot of fallout. Where I'm at, we're just on the curve now. It's going to go up, and we don't know how bad it's going to be. So, in about the next week or two, I'm going to find out. And I have no idea if at the end of this, when I go back to work, if I'm going to see people that I know and enjoyed having conversations with and working with or not. But I'm going to find out one way or another. So, yeah, thanks. We're trying to be safe. We're trying to do what we can. We're trying to stay the F inside and stay away from other people.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm looking in my in the area around where I live, I'm trying to figure out the map for my county is a little it's a little funky trying to figure out where the hell everything is. Here we go. Here we go. In the community immediately surrounding where I live, we currently have 4 confirmed cases. Now, admittedly, this is a very small section of my county, but that is what it is.
When I checked a week and a half ago, we had 22 confirmed. We had 22 cases that were confirmed. That were not of the kind that had to be on a respirator or ventilator or whatever. But we had about 14 that did. We had 8 that had been found out to have had it and fully recovered and returned to the wild, as it were. But, they also, there's all the untested people. Until we get the tests, we can't go back out there. That's a death sentence for a lot of people.
If I can just add one thing,
Quickly.
from a personal experience, because I'm wondering, like, the statistics are a great guideline, but I'm also wondering a lot about what we're not seeing. One has to look at the whole picture, and the statistics do not cover a complete picture. Like, I take the example of my my neighbor just next door to me has it, and she was at the hospital, and they brought her home, and she's probably around going close to 80 years old. So, I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen in that case there. If she has respiratory and she's not being monitored or anything, and she has the I don't hear anybody stopping by. Kind of eerie, the dead silence, actually. But yeah, well,
I understand.
Keep your skepticism, that's all.
Absolutely. And yeah, I just did a secondary look. 2 in my zip code, and for my particular county, over 2,000 confirmed cases, over 8,000 tested, 131 dead. But again, we still have got lots of question marks as far as to where the hell the actual information is, because testing. But again, that's we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later if I remember for next week, because there's statistics is a pain in the ass. Dallin, thank you ever so much, and you hold yourself together, man.
Yeah. Just to give you some numbers, in Canada right now, as of yesterday, since it rolled over, 32,565 confirmed cases nationwide, 1,347 deaths nationwide. In my neck of the woods, 2,562 cases in Alberta, 51 deaths. And I've actually caught the headlines on these. The majority of these have been in long-term care facilities where isolation is a tough thing to get. Recoveries, 1,162. Completed tests, 96,897. Sounds impressive, but the city I live in is over 1 million population. So, but they're being much more reactive in that, is that if you show up at the hospital with the symptoms, that's when they test you. So, like I said before about the antibody testing or any, finding out who's asymptomatic, the system's just not in place yet, and that's going to take a long time to ramp up. You know, and again, we could go for another 6 hours talking about that, but I don't want.
No.
Anyway, just so you have another positive. Scientists have been investigating using the CRISPR technology for creating a rapid COVID-19 test.
Well, we'll see how this plays out then.
Supposedly about 40 minutes, not the 15-minute one. But if they have more than one test that has a high success rate, a high accuracy rate, hey, that's great. Especially since CRISPR technology is available to a lot of scientists along a lot of sections of the world. Well, think of it. You know, like we have 3D printing all over the place.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy about that. But anyways,
yeah.
So as usual, I am the curator, of course, of the audio version of this over at holycrapthevlogcast.com. And for any other thoughts I might have, you can catch that over at inthewind.yo5.ca.
I'm sorry, I'm moving along. I'm really trying to drag myself at the moment. Phone number, if you want to leave a voicemail message, of course, over on the website is 859-HCTV 554, 859-428-8554. Email address is all over in there, and I did put out a request to Linus from Linus Tech Tips to see about joining us. I'm gonna make a couple of other feelers out to some other folks, see about inviting them in. Over in the live chat, Felis, Stephanie, thank you. Whoever that tool was earlier, yeah, that was nice. Thanks, appreciate that. 420 isn't until tomorrow, so nice. Way to go, dude.
Ooh. And it's legal here.
It's Lord. Whatever.
And there's a store not too far from where I live.
I don't think that it qualifies as essential services, but you know what? It'll be.
They're open and they deliver. And to be fair, medicinal marijuana. So kind of, sort of. I mean, not for me, but kind of, sort of essential, because some people do kind of rely on that stuff to.
There is something to be said for that.
Keep the shakes down, keep the pain away, you know. Just saying.
True enough, fair enough. Sorry. Very, very unpro of me to be yawning at this point. It gives you an idea as to where I am at this. Anyway, you all have yourselves a good night, a good week. Please be safe. We'll be here for you. And if you are in need of kind of having a check-in, please take a swing over to our Discord and just send up a bat signal and let us know that you need somebody to talk to if you need some time. We'll do what we can. Meantime, as always, on behalf of us all, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And like I said, normally for my wife's, the date that my wife passed, which is in May, I would normally be making dinner for the nurse's station and bringing it in. I cannot see that as being a good idea for me to be doing in the near future. So I will be missing for the first time in 14 years. But we are approaching 15 years. So as always, Matere Fujin, I love you, I miss you, dream of me. And as always, until the next time we get together, everyone, be safe, and we'll see you soon. Good night.